sevgili izleyiciler, Cumhuriyet TV ekranlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün stüdyomuzda çok özel bir konuğumuz bulunuyor. Birçoğunuz onu Angry Birds isimli oyundan tanıyor ama kendisi aynı zamanda bir eğitim teknolojisi yatırımcısı. Stüdyomuzda Peter Westerbacka bulunuyor efendim. Hemen konuğuma döneyim. Hello, welcome our channel.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
And how are you today?
Very good. It's always good to be back in Istanbul.
Yes. I want to first question about, of course, Angry Birds, because many people know you with Angry Birds. It's a really popular game in around the world. So how did this idea come out and develop?
Yes, so actually Rovio, the company behind Angry Birds, it actually got started and came out of a game making competition that I organized all the way back in 2003. This was when our friends at Nokia, another great Finnish company, they had come out with the first smartphones. So this was many years before iPhone, before Android. And of course, when you have new, like interesting devices that you can program, in this case the smartphones, you need games. So we had a game making competition, and then 3 young students from Aalto University in Helsinki in Finland, they took part in this competition and they actually won it. And then after winning the competition, Niklas, Kim and Jarno, so 3 young students, came to me and said that, hey Peter, we won this competition, what should we do? And I said that, hey, you should do what you love to do. So why don't you start a company to do what you love, to make games. So they started Rovio in 2003, and then it took 6 years, 51 games, and the 52nd game that came out 11th of December 2009 was Angry Birds. So that's kind of like how the company and how Angry Birds got started. And yeah, then basically it became very, very successful. So
of course,
it became the fastest growing consumer brand ever. So we expanded, we bought an animation studio, we expanded into consumer products, toys, t-shirts, soft drinks, you name it. And then at one point 93% of the Chinese population, 91% of the Indian population, I think 9 out of 10 people here in Turkey and all over the world know the brand. So it was a pretty good success for something that started as a student project.
Did you think it's become a popular game when you start to develop this game?
Yeah, I mean the goal, of course, always when you make games is to make a hit game. And with Angry Birds, we were very, very analytical. We analyzed everything. We looked at what does it take to make a hit game. But of course, you never know. It's kind of like impossible to know before the game is done. But I think that we had some indications that it might be successful because the developers were playing the game during development. And then when Niklas went home for Christmas that year, then he gave the phone to his mom and to show that, okay, this is what we've done. And with all the other games, he got his phone back. But with Angry Birds, he didn't get his phone back all Christmas because his mom was playing the game. And of course, in 2009, this was unheard of. That what? Like a mom playing games. So we knew that, okay, this could become pretty big. And yeah, then it became not just big, but huge.
And you have an idea about the games except the Angry Birds? Do you want to develop any other video games?
So I'm working with a few game studios right now, and we're working on some new games, and hopefully we'll see some of those come out next year. So yeah, very exciting things being built.
Okay, great. Let's continue with Finland. I know you're from Finland, and
yes.
In the world have some crisis, wars, and economical crisis.
Yes.
That situation, Finland is a good country about world, and I want to ask you how can Finland can create a model of hope and global scale?
Yes. So I think that it's very good to start with a bit of history, and we have a very nice bond between Finland and Turkey, because Atatürk was very much inspired by how Finland emerged out of Russian oppression and then built a very successful nation. In fact,
yes, especially education.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And what is very interesting is that if you look at the world today, I mean, now we have a situation where, you know, if you disagree with the great leader, you know, you go to the US and then, you know, basically you are of another opinion, then you might get deported and then you wake up in jail in El Salvador, for example. Actually, the exact same thing happened in Finland. Finland was under Russian rule back in the early 1900s, and there was this Russian monk Petrov that actually also disagreed with the Russian, you know, leadership, the Tsars. So he got deported to Bulgaria. So already then, you know, even without ice, you could get deported. And then when he was in Bulgaria, he wrote a very famous book. I think everybody here in Turkey knows it, The Land of the White Lilies. And that book is all about how Finland built a successful nation and built it, you know, using education. And Atatürk was inspired by this book, The Land of the White Lilies, and actually he made it mandatory reading first for the military here in Turkey and then for like everybody. And I think that it's really amazing when you think about it, that already over 100 years ago Finnish education was a role model for Atatürk and for Turkey. Unfortunately then Atatürk passed away too early, so couldn't complete, you know, the vision. But I think that why it's exciting to be here for me, I work a lot in education, work a lot with teachers, and you know, also Atatürk said that teachers are like the engineers of the human mind. And this is also what we believe in Finland, and that's why we have invested a lot in education. We invest a lot in our teachers, and I think that we can do a lot of collaboration between Finland and Turkey to make education here in Turkey even better. And I think that that is something that like why I'm here. And I think that it's great to see that already 100 years ago Atatürk took a lot of inspiration from Finnish education, how we built the nation, and I think that it's very, very relevant today, and it's very, very relevant not just here in Turkey but around the world. So I think that if you look at what is going on in the world, it's very important that we stand up for these you know, basic rights. Yes. You know, like that we have the freedom of speech. I think things like rule of law, very, very important. And now that all of these basic freedoms, basic rights are under attack in many countries, it's important that we stand up for those values. And of course, coming from Finland, I'm very proud of the fact that Finland has been ranked the happiest nation 8 years in a row. So not 1 or 2 or 3 times, but 8 years in a row. And I think that, you know, coming from Finland, I can also say that it's actually true. But I think that the reason for that is that we believe in giving everybody the freedom to pursue happiness. So you can be all you can be. And this is what is really at the center of building successful nations. Of course, it's all about the people. And we need to make sure that our societies empower and enable people. And a very important part of that is that we provide fantastic education, not just for a few, but for all people.
Yes, you're right. And in your talks, you often refer to Atatürk, and we know you love so much about Atatürk. And you said one time, we must make Atatürk proud again.
Yes.
Why did you say that?
Yeah, because I think that what Atatürk started to do here in Turkey, and I mean, of course, you know, he built modern Turkey and he completely transformed the nation. So that is something that inspired people all over the world. I mean, you know, in Central Asia, and
especially the Middle East.
Yes, and Middle East, absolutely. And I think now this is very relevant if you look at, for example, what is happening in Africa, many places around the world. You need to have this kind of nation building exercise. And I think that if you follow what is happening in many places, I think there is a big opportunity now to really learn from what Turkey did what Finland did, you know, like 100 years ago, building this kind of successful nation, a nation for the people. And I think that that is kind of like what Atatürk showed, that you can do that. And you know, when you can do it here in Turkey, you can do it all over the world. And I think many nations, I mean, if you look at what is happening in, for example, Africa, and we see in the news, you know, what was happening in places like Tanzania, you know, again, like very oppressive government. And now young people everywhere are getting fed up with this kind of lack of rights, lack of freedom, lack of
on
equality.
Discord, by the way.
Yes, exactly, absolutely, exactly.
It's so important.
Yes.
Some movements
Yes.
On Discord.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Absolutely.
Not in street.
No, exactly.
On Discord.
Absolutely. And I think that this is, again, we will see more of this kind of, let's say, resistance happening when governments don't understand that we need to provide the young people with opportunity and basically at least, you know, the hope for like a better and brighter future. And right now, it's not there. And I think that we see this reaction everywhere. I mean, we had elections in the US and very interesting discussion, you know, with the new mayor in New York and you know, like Trump and like all of that. So I think that there are, when we look at this, I think there's a lot of signals now that young people are really getting fed up with everything. And I think that this is something that there is a big opportunity. But then what is also very important, that if you look at the model, you know, and like how Finland emerged out of the oppression and then built a successful nation, that was done peacefully. So I think that also we can do peaceful transition. So this is also very important. And I think that, again, we need to enable that, and we need to help the young people become successful. And this is, again, you know, like what education is all about. It's really important that we invest in the young people, and the best way to invest in that is through education, making sure that we enable the success of the future generations.
As you know, Atatürk has had a famous word, peace at country, peace at world.
Yes.
Then I wonder, a lot of Finns, I mean, do you have same ideas and emotions about Atatürk with you?
Yeah, I think that many more Finns should be aware of The Land of the White Lilies. So not everybody in Finland even knows about the book, and I think this is something that, of course, we should change. But I think there are many things that we can learn from that book, because a lot of the values, a lot of the things that we hold, you know, like in like or see as very valuable, they are kind of like described in that book. And it's also for Finland and for Finnish people to understand ourselves and our values. I think that book is very good. But then it's also you know, if you look at Finland and we look at Turkey, I mean, in Finland we have 1,300 kilometers of border with evil, you know, the evil that is Russia.
Oh.
And if you have Russia, if you have Russia as a neighbor, you know that they will attack you. If you look at hundreds of years of history,
like Ukraine,
they will. I mean, if you are a neighbor of Russia, they will attack you. That is how Russia ended up with, you know,
and
like
Finland have a fear about that.
No, we are not. We have zero fear, because we are prepared. In Finland, we have always invested in our military, in our defense, so that you know, when you prepare for the worst will not happen. But of course, we are very aware of our evil neighbor. So it's basically doesn't matter if you have Tsars, Communist Putin, it's the same evil, different package. But I think this is also something that is very important, that peace can only come through strength. So if you have, you know, evil neighbors, you have to be strong, because if you show weakness, then it's really bad, and they will attack you and they will kill you. So that is, you know, like what it's all about. But this is also why it's important to look at nation building. In Finland, we have mandatory military service. Okay, it's for military, you know, and defense purposes, but it's also very important that everybody serves, and it builds unity. It builds the nation. And this is something that is very important. Now, if you look at many of the problems in the world, many nations don't have that kind of shared experience. They don't have any kind of like national service. And I think that it's very important to have that, so that you have shared experience, you can build unity, and then, as you see in Finland, I think also actually here in Turkey, there's a high willingness to defend your nation by force. So in Finland it's about 80%. In many other European and Western countries, it can be like under 20%. So you can invest all the money that you have into weapons, but if you don't have anybody that actually wants to use those, it's irrelevant. And this again why it's important to build strong nations, successful nations, and you need to create unity. And I think that there are many ways you can do that, and one of the ways is to have national service. Yes.
Okay, when speak of Atatürk and Finland, it's impossible to not mention about the land of the white lilies in Turkish, beyaz zambaklar ülkesinde, because Atatürk loves a lot this book, and it's too important book for world.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, the peace and improve, and the most important thing, education, I think.
Yes.
And that book tells our how can we improve our education system, our democracy, love system, and then what do you think about the land of the white lilies?
I think that it's a very important book. It's an important book for Turkey. It's an important book for Finland, because again it really reminds us about important values, and I think that many more people in Finland should also be aware of this, and I think that it's a very relevant book even today, like 114 years later or something like that. That it's really very, very relevant in the world today, not just in Finland and Turkey, but I think that it would be very valuable for people in many countries to read that and really think about how you can build successful nations. Yeah, so I think that I always say that even if you have fantastic education, it's irrelevant if you don't do anything with that education. So entrepreneurs are people who do things. Entrepreneurship is all about doing, and I think big part of being an entrepreneur is learning, and it's like learning by doing. But if you don't have as a foundation, good education, I think that is really like the foundation, and why in Finland we are only 5.6 million people. We managed to build many successful companies. So not just like Angry Birds, but I mean, we have Nokia, we created Linux, MySQL, Supercell, most successful games company pretty much ever. So many success stories, very few people. And I think that it starts with the education, but then it continues with the doing part, so the entrepreneurship. So it's very important that you get an entrepreneurial mindset from a very young age. So we start learning about entrepreneurship, about doing things already in kindergarten, and then all the way through school and university and everything. So we have managed to create a very successful startup ecosystem in Finland, but actually in the whole finest Bay Area, so Finland, Estonia, Sweden. We have the highest number of startups per capita, highest number of unicorns per capita, and also the highest amount of venture capital invested into local startups per capita in the world. And I think this is something that is very important. It's important for the future of Europe, because we need to make sure that we build the strongest economy on the planet in the EU. And the reason why we need to do that is that we need to be able to defend ourselves. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. So in the world we live in right now, we can't depend on anybody outside. So we need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to be able to defend ourselves. And I think that the rest of Europe is now waking up to this fact. And again, entrepreneurship is a big part of that. As I said, it's again like about doing things. And we have fantastic startups, and fantastic startups are kind of like being built all the time. And I think that this is also one area where we can work together, Finland and Turkey. There's a lot of talent here, a lot of successful companies. For example, here in Istanbul, I think that this is one of the most vibrant, most dynamic like ecosystems when it comes to games. I mean, there's fantastic companies, fantastic things being built here.
Okay, one last question about in this situation you said we should build bridges, not walls.
Yes.
Why did you say that? And it's purely based on human feelings.
Yes, I think that, I mean, people are people everywhere, and also, I mean, if you look at the world, or if you look at, you know, like the planet, the globe, there's no borders. Obviously, I mean, these are things that are in people's minds, and I think that my experience, and I've been to many countries, that people are people everywhere, and what they want to do, they want to, you know, have the freedom to pursue happiness. I think that is everywhere. It doesn't matter if you go to the US, or you go to China, or you go anywhere in Europe, in Africa, anywhere in the world. I mean, people just want to live happy, fulfilling lives. And it's really important that we build our nations for the people. And of course, coming from Finland, you know, Nordic countries, if you look at what we have achieved there, we have been able to build nations that are for the people, and happiness, of course, is a very good metric there. So all the Nordic countries are always like in the top 10, sometimes even all in the top 5 of the happiest nations on the planet. And then when people ask me, you know, like why that is, I think that you know, one way of looking at it is that we grew up watching American TV, American movies. Then we heard about this thing called the American Dream. And we thought, hey, this is like really cool, this is really good. So we took that American dream and we made it real. So in our countries, everybody has the freedom to pursue happiness, everybody. And in order for you to be able to do that, of course, you need to have fantastic education. So in all of our countries, we have fantastic education, again, not just for a few, but for all people. And I think that these are things that are very important no matter where you go in the world. Of course, you want to have happy people, and you want to enable your people to, you know, pursue happiness. These are very important things. And then you need to protect the people, you need to have rule of law. I mean, we need to have rules and regulations. I think this is something that is very important. And these are, and you know, freedom of speech. I think that this is something that, you know, especially, you know, for you in media, you know, and this is globally, that it's very important,
of course,
that you can say what you think, and you can even disagree with a great leader and you will not wake up in jail. I think this is something that is very important, and all of these things, I think the bottom line is that without freedom you have nothing.
Okay, thanks for coming here and answer my questions so clearly. I'm so glad to meet you. And do you have some last words about we close to finish the interview?
Yeah, I think that we should work together, Turkey and Finland, and it's our job to make Atatürk proud again.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Have to good to see you.
Good to see you.
Evet sevgili izleyiciler, Cumhuriyet stüdyolarında çok önemli bir konuğu ağırladık. Tabii zaman zaman bende de maalesef heyecan oldu. Bu yüzden eğer ben sürçülisan eylediysem affedin. Bu tarzda programlarla yeniden karşınızda olacağız, ancak şimdilik burada noktalıyoruz. Başka programlarda yeniden görüşmek dileğiyle.